Welcome to VibeCheck. We check the vibes of theatre makers and practitioners across the industry and one day internationally. Brands, if you want to sponsor us, we'd like the money. Uh, Today we are here with our regular co-host Keisha, who's just an all-round genuine nice guy. That's my introduction. I've gone a bit left for this one. That's fine. Keep you on your toes.
It's because you couldn't say what you wanted to say.
Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We are joined by our other regular co-host Aruna Jallo, again poet, physical theatre actor, and a bit of a sweaty top lip, but that's all right. It's okay.
Hey, these hooks, yeah, I don't know how I feel about them, you know.
He's getting rattled.
Ooh. But we're here. I am here as Aruna Jallo with Ben and his dry lips, who's also a producer.
I mean, I was just using a lip balm a minute ago, so I don't know where that's come from.
So, saying he dried out instantly, man. That's a real shame.
Raw.
That's a real shame.
Producer.
And special guest today is Phillip Morris, trainee assistant director at the Royal Court, as well as used to work and live in Birmingham, unfortunately. Yeah, thank you, Phillip, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Shout out to the Birmingham crew.
Let's just roll that back. Not on my platform.
0121, shouts out.
Every time.
How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good, yeah. It's been a good day. The weather's a bit, here or there. But yeah, it's been a positive one. I'm going to clean my room after this as well.
Nice.
I like to do a Sunday clean. Yeah,
Productive.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on board. So, at the start of every show, we always like to ask our guests what are they most recently listening to, whether that's song, album, etc. And you told us that your most recently listened to song was "Losses" by Drake off of the Dark Lane demo tapes. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not really into this one, if I'm honest. I like, and the reason why I chose that song is because I like when Drake bars, like the singing, like he's like end of the day, he's an international artist, like one of the, if not the biggest pop star in the world. But I like that track because when Drake really writes, that's when I feel like as a fan, as a listener, he really takes us places. So yeah, I heard that one and I was like, now we're talking. But unfortunately, the majority of the project isn't him like going ham in his writing, So yeah, but I like that one. I like Losses, and I've got a producer that I know actually produced his song Demons.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, he used to be in the few years below me in school. He's an amazing producer, and yeah, he produced Demons, and he also made what I think French Montana's latest song. He produced for him as well. I'm like, this is crazy, Crawling into the world though.
come on.
Shout out to him. Secure your bag, sir.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I agree with you. This tape, I mean, obviously the tape is predominantly leaks and demos and whatnot. So like, I get that the quality ain't as good, but like, I agree with you though. Like, Losses, Deep Pockets, the first track on the tape, really enjoyed that. Apart from that, like,
beautiful.
I was kind of like, yeah.
I think how you sum it up, it's like it's leaks and losses. This is just stuff that he's kind of had in his back pocket, and he's like, I'll just chuck it out there because why not? This guy will drop an album a year, and I'm expecting his next album to probably come out in August. Yeah, so I don't really. It's like Kenedrick's Untitled Unmastered thing, where he's like, cool, I've done these two albums. Exactly. I'm just gonna drop this one because I've got these songs sitting around. So, but it doesn't slap like. For me, there's different versions of Drake. You've got Drake barring where he's gunning for someone. You've got Drake in his feels, and and then you've got upset Drake, and then you've got storytelling Drake. And for me, out of all of them, storytelling Drake is consistently the least strongest one out of all of them, and that's the majority of what's on this project for me.
Big time. I mean, 2C Slide was a stroke of genius.
It's a stroke of business genius.
Wait, why
musical genius? Absolutely not.
It's a TikTok song. I mean, you during quarantine.
That's what we're calling it now.
What are you gonna say?
That's what we're calling it now, a TikTok song.
Well, of course.
I think it's a TikTok song.
I said so, yeah.
Very basic, easy to follow. Stroke of genius.
I said
Filmed in his house. First quarantine video out there. It's clever. Very clever.
The dance is literally 2 steps.
It's not even a good dance.
It's not a
If
dance
you
at all. It's
you can't
literally
do that in the club. Well, people will do it in the club, but it's not a proper
no, people
club
will do it in the
dance.
club. Nah, the thing is, people do it. You know what I mean? But
It's
again,
no
it's that
migraines,
Drake
man.
thing. It's that
No
Drake
migraines,
thing
man.
where you listen to the song twice and you know all the words, and you're like, how?
Yeah.
You don't know how he does it, but he does do it. Like you know
Yeah.
all the words after 2 listens to the song. And you're like, I hate that. I don't know this, but I know it, and now it's in my head.
We're all going to be doing it. Don't worry. When we're out again, we'll be doing it.
Yeah.
But it will be one of those things, yeah, where you start doing it ironically, and then suddenly you can't stop doing it. It's like me and this hand signal. Like that emoji came out, and I kept sending it to everyone. Then I started doing it in person, and now I keep doing it when I see people. It's annoying.
It is what it is. All right. So this is the part that I like to call the song selection section, where we send our guests 9 questions, and we tell them to choose 3 of those questions and answer those questions with a song. And Phillip, you've obviously answered that very well. You've given us 3 songs. The first song of that is Kanye West's Champion. Great song, great album. This is the part where we guess. Some people are doing better than others.
Listen, I've got one point. I don't need all this. I don't need all this hostility.
Let's see how this goes. I think that Champion's your theme song.
I'm saying it's a song that inspires you.
Theme song.
Equally.
Yeah? Can I reveal it now? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you can reveal it.
Oh, that is my theme song. That is my theme song, man. Me.
Okay. Are you sure it doesn't inspire you just a little bit?
I mean, it inspires me, but it is my theme song, right? It's when you have an icebreaker in a drama workshop, I'm like, yeah, champion, Kanye. OJ, man, you know.
Why would you say it's your theme song?
You know what? I think when graduation came out, it was a very significant point in my life. Of like trying to sort of work out my direction of like what I'm interested in and what I'm doing. So there were quite a few during school, quite a few things I was interested in. But I remember it was right before my GCSEs. And I listened to the song and I was like, this just feels like it's speaking to me. And like there was a bar in particular when he says, who are the kids gonna listen to? I guess me if it isn't you. And I was like, you know what? I wanna be like that. Like and it sort of transpired into like my future career and the work that I did in Birmingham and stuff. But like it just made me determined to be a leader when I heard that song. And then I remember in school I wanted to be deputy head boy because one of the flyest guys in the years above me was deputy. He had like a sick reputation and everything like that. And I was like, I want to be like this guy. So I went for it and my dad was like, you need to go for head boy. And I was like, okay. But I was listening to this song at the time and I remember going for head boy and I got it. And I remember it was a big transition. So I was like, right, if I believe, this is really corny and cliche, but if I believe I'm a champion, nothing can stop me, you know? So that's my theme song forever, for life. Yeah, man.
I feel you.
What was some of that you were speaking on the work or you were doing in Birmingham? Like obviously I've spoken to you about it, but what was that work?
Yeah, so I started up an all black male theatre company called Lightpost Theatre Company, which is still running now, which is amazing. But yeah, and the aim at the time was to have, it was a pilot project for 2 years, working with young black men. The description was being at risk of mental health issues, but at the time I was like 22, still getting my head around like theatre, and I had to really dig deep to like, to really know my stuff. So I made a realization along the way. I was like, oh wait, mental health can affect anyone depending on what happens. So if you've had a traumatic upbringing or even something really drastic changing in your life or feeling like an outsider in a particular environment, that can, there's so many mental health triggers. But also, in Birmingham as well as the UK, there's a massive overrepresentation in prisons and also like mental health institutions when it's too late. So people are being admitted into these institutions at breaking point, but there's no prevention sort of schemes that exist. So that inspired the company. But then along the way, we realized as a collective that we have more to offer than mental health traumatic stories. We can tell stories about our heritage and our joy, so it slowly like moved away. Mental health is always a part of the strand because it's black men in the space expressing themselves. But actually, this is about us all becoming better human beings and, being able to showcase our work to the world. So, yeah, that's how it. But it all started that time. Kanye, I was listening to Kanye and I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And, yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, the company's still running now. It then went on to like one of my closest friends called Kieran Hamilton Amos, who's running it. And now we've just handed over to one of our earliest members are now the leaders of Lightpost. So they're running it now, which is what it's all about. Like I'm a strong thank you, and I'm a strong believer in like passing on the torch. And actually, that's where change happens. People coming through programs and ending up leading. People say there's not enough role models and this and that, but actually, if you put the scaffolding in place, everyone else just has to pick up the mantle and just keep going. So. Yeah, it's incredible. It's always got a special place in my heart. So yeah, man.
I find it like interesting the link between mental health and Kanye right now. How that actually all links together.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. Is Touch the Sky in there? Touch the Sky is in Graduation. Is it in Graduation or late registration?
I think it's late registration.
Yeah, I think it's late registration.
Late registration. That's mad. Because I think that talks about his mental health really and truly. Like he foretold it. Like I'm touching the sky, and then you have the biggest crash, and he has done. Like we've seen that and lived through it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like what we all have a song that we remember at a particular age. When whether it was the first time we really got into hip hop, or whether it was someone you were dating or whatever. But in terms of mental health, he was hitting some stuff really early.
Yeah.
And then obviously had his own lapse, later on. But I feel like we're slowly getting him back,
Yeah.
I'd agree.
It's a slightly reformed Christian version.
For real.
So next one is "Don't Walk Away" by Jade. This one, I don't know. I have like two for this. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with.
I'm saying it's a song that's helped you creatively. But maybe I should just start going last and copying what you man say.
I feel like this is your shower song. I don't know why, but I feel like it's your shower song. Equally, it could also be a song that related to how you first got into theatre, but I think that it's your shower song. I don't know why. So I'm gonna go with that.
It's a late night shower song. That's not you don't wake up in the morning and go out.
I would.
Would you? I see that as like a late night thing, like you're just chilling. That's how I would see it. Like it's nice, like you got an evening, it's a date for yourself type of night. That's what I see it like. What is it?
Do you know what? You're both right. I'm sorry, Ben. It's my shower song, and you're right. When I have obviously I shower in the morning too, but when I have my late showers, that's my jam. Yeah, sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. These guys
Outrage.
And I know you as well. Like I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed.
Fuck's sake.
Nah, I'm playing.
How is it a shower song? I'm sorry. No, I can't accept it.
Blood. The minute I heard that song, it's all I could think of. I was like, "This is the
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I love my '90s R&B. I just think it's just such a special time where there was beautiful music. So yeah, man.
This is always the thing with like 90s R&B though, is that do we remember it fondly for the nostalgic aspect of the music, or was there just something musically brilliant about that time that forces everyone to go back to and be like, this was the pinnacle? Do you know what I mean? Because I find it very interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. I think from an aspect of writing and producing, it was just, I understand when our parents are like, you know what, there ain't nothing like Luther Vandross, there ain't nothing like Teddy Pendergrass. Like I get it, because it's the songs that they're writing about, and that's what Drake's quite good at actually. It really touches on how you're feeling differently. Like what song exists about like meeting someone for the first time or talking to someone? Like I'm actually trying to think of one now that's like a like a song that I don't know. I'm trying to think of like just those motions, and I feel like the '90s spoke about all sorts of things. Do you know what I mean? So like someone wasting your time, or a relationship not working out, and this and that, and having butterflies, and all these kind of like very romantic things, but also the deep stuff like being heartbroken, like their pen game, and just production altogether was second to none. So like the other day, I stayed up the whole night, had to, for the Teddy Riley versus Babyface battle. I stayed all the way through.
And I got there and it lagged out.
Yeah, it was trippy. I mean, I went the first time round as well. So I came to the first battle and I was like, this is a disaster, and this is terrible. And there are, what is it? There were 750,000 people, and it just flopped. And the next time, we got what we wanted, you know. But yeah, two masters of the craft in terms of writing.
Legends.
Oh man,
actual legends. Like I find it mad that every day, literally every day, I find out another song that I didn't know Babyface had written.
Right?
Literally every day. Yeah. I'm like, how have you written this as well?
That's the thing. Madonna, Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
You name it. Like Toni Braxton.
Literally.
Boys to Men.
Boys to Men is.
The CV's wild.
There is something about. So I'm trying to think of what 90s R&B is for me, and I think if you were to like compare it to music from the past, I'm not even sure 10 years is the right time frame. Maybe we'll give it 10 years. I think production quality obviously has gone up in the majority of sense, but just because people can do more things, because that's how technology is advanced. So the musicality of some songs is different, but it's like you were saying, Phil, it's like the writing of it is more important. It's not necessarily that it's more complex or there's more layers to it. It's the simplicity of it that makes it what it is. Because they're like nowadays you find a lot more people trying to tell a full blown story, whether that be across an album or across a song, or you go the complete other direction. You've got people just chatting complete nonsense. Whereas with the 90s R&B, it was just about I'm feeling this is what I'm feeling, and that was the process.
That's it. Yeah.
When you look at those artists, like John Legend is a key one for me. Like each song has got a very specific this is happening, and that's what's happening. Yeah. And you can convey that very straightforward. Whereas now there's so many more elements that parts of the music is better, but then as a genre, it's not as strong. Everything is perceived as something individual, so you don't get that same sense of unity. So I think it's why the nostalgic element is a larger part of it for me, rather than the music. So I think if I was to compare a song to a song from 1990s to something that was released in the last 10 years, like on a technical level, I think the song in the 10 years is probably going to hold up if you remove all the nostalgic elements to it.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Wait there. Your final song was Momma by Kendrick Lamar.
Woo! Hey, wait, can I just quickly, fam? That's one of my favorite songs. That song anchors me. Sorry, I had to just quickly, but yeah.
King Kenny.
Like what you said.
I'm expecting you to get it right now, I'm expecting you to. You gotta get this now.
Say no more.
This is actually hard because I feel like there are genuinely 4 things this could be.
Yeah, legit. I really want you to get it, guys. You've been on
wise.
I want Ben to get it.
I'm not going to get it. I've got my answer. I think it's a song that relates to how you first got into fear. I don't know if that's right. I'm going to move on.
I'm going to say that it's the song that sums up your work.
Ooh.
Stick or twist.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Damn. Wait, Kai, I'm gonna ask. Are you sure?
I don't know, man. I told you
for yourself. Say it with your chest.
Look, man. Yeah, you know what? I've said it.
I've found it already. Come on.
I've said it now. So I'm gonna say it. A song that sums up your work.
Mad. All right, a song that inspires you.
And the winner is. Gwen! I'm joking.
No, I can't do that to you.
Nah.
I was going to go do a lap in my bedroom.
Okay. No. The winner is Aruna. It's the song that inspires me. But you know what, Kai? You're on the right track. You're just like it could have been either the rest of the four, like easily.
It was
easily.
And the thought that I was thinking, well, yeah, inspires you. The one that sums up your work, describes your career, and what helps you creatively. Like I don't know.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
all of it.
Say what you want to say, man.
Yeah, I played it for all of those reasons. If I'm honest, Momma, it sort of just describes everything for me, and it's very extremely personal because actually, my mum is the reason why I do what I do. Like, period, flatline. Like, I got so at the time I had no ambitions of ever getting involved in theatre, anything like that. But I got involved in a show in year 11. So I didn't do drama as a GCSE, nothing. But I just wanted to get involved in the show. The show went well and stuff. And then I got my GCSEs back. And at the time I wanted to become a lawyer, a solicitor, or like a politician, one or the other. Got my grades back and I was like, oh no. I can't go to the college that I wanted to initially go to pursue that. And then my mum literally, so I'm panicking now. But my mum called me a few days later and she was like, I've signed you up to performing arts. Just like that. I've signed you up to a BTEC to do performing arts. And I was like, okay. But she came to that show and was like, obviously proud mum, Hercules, all that stuff. But that moment, which was like a spur of the moment, like she essentially made that decision for me. It's changed my life forever. So when Kenedrick's talking about like I can live in the stadiums, packing the fastest, like I'm always trying to within the right frame, like I'm always trying to impress my mum. I'm like, Mum, look what your son's doing, but this is because of you, kind of thing. And then also when he talks about bumping to a little boy, he resembles his features. Yeah, like that moment of a young black boy reminding him of who he was and stuff because he's lost his way. Like To Pimp a Butterfly is a masterpiece anyway, but we'll talk about that.
Thank you. We could talk about
the work that the reason why I do it, which I mentioned earlier, is for the young guy who's 12. He's from Croydon, he's from the ends, who just doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. This is why I do what I do. Initially, even getting involved in theatre, I was like, because I just want to show you, whether it's my path or not, you have options, you have choices. You don't have to follow what everyone around you is doing, because I did that for a bit in so many different ways. But like, what like gave me joy, especially when I like deliver workshops, is that, sometimes there'd be like, a little black boy who come to at the end and he'd be like, "Sir," and I'd be like, "Don't call me sir." So he'd be like, "Phillip, what do you do?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, at the time I was a youth theatre director." And he was like, "Wow, I didn't know that job existed. I want to do that when I'm older." Like, I cannot tell you how many times people have done that, and whether they pursue it or not, the power of influence and seeing, for some people, seeing's believing. So, when I've done workshops, people don't expect someone to walk in with like 97s on their feet, with a tracksuit, and for me, like, I had no idea when I was younger what kind of role models in theatre existed until I started to like research it and understand the people who have paved the way. So my aim is just to try and be one of those things, in like 20 years' time. So yeah, that's the long way of me saying Momma is like, it's always got a special place in my heart. The production, everything about it just, when I first heard it, I had goosebumps. Legit had goosebumps. I was like, man, this is speaking to me. And even like the chorus, "We've been waiting for you." Like, I moved back here a year ago, and that was very daunting. I'd been gone for 8 years from my own hometown. And no one, like, naturally, no one knew me, So I had to start again, but I knew I needed to return home again, to start the rest of my career. So now, even like working at the Royal Court, it's just like all of those things are falling into place. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, Momma is the song that inspires me the most.
That's wavy. Like,
that's wavy.
Oh, there's so much you said. Oh, there's so much you said. No,
I was rambling on a bit, so I got excited.
No, it's not even
involved in the conversation.
But it's all like very relevant stuff. I do want to ask you about like your workshop experiences in terms of you work, like how people perceived you when you first walked in. What was that energy like? Like
when I first got involved.
Yeah.
Oh man, like so my route in has been really like sort of very different, I guess, I suppose. So I did quite a bit of acting and stuff here and there, but then I was unemployed because I wanted to go back to the drawing board and like work out what I wanted to do. So I was unemployed and I was signing on. And I remember it was a really low time for me. Then I managed to. I was really fortunate in getting like a tour. Like I auditioned for a role and I got a tour. Tour was done, and I was like, I don't want to keep doing this, but I also don't really know what I want to do again. So I was signing on again. I've got my grumpy face because I'm like, oh, I'm in the job center. Da, 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 da. And a woman who I was speaking to was like, oh, what qualifications do you have? And I was like, oh, I've got a degree in applied theatre. And she was like, "Oh, interesting. There's a job here for an internship working in education in a theatre." And at that time, I'm like, I want to be an actor. I don't want to do this. I want to do workshops. Like, I want to take over the world, like kind of thing. But there was half an hour to fill it out, and I lived about 50 minutes away from the venue, so I filled it out. Fast forward in. It was an interview between. It was a joint internship between the Birmingham Rep and the Birmingham Hippodrome. Now, very fortunately, when I was a student, I used to do like work experience with both of them. So I had an interview, and I was really fortunate to have got the internship, which was like helping assist and support their youth theatre. Then 3 months in, there was word of there being a pot of funding to work with young black men. And I remember being like, okay, this is a bit of me. This is like, I don't know what I'm doing, but if I can get my hands on this project, I'll give my all, So we did a pitch, and I was wearing this suit and stuff, and I was like completely just out of my depth in terms of presentation. I like to dress up nice to like events like weddings and stuff. So I like to wear a suit, but I wouldn't do that day to day. And I remember we had a moment where it was just getting a bit shaky during the presentation, and then I was like, it's like a movie moment. I was like, right, I know I'm wearing a suit and I know I'm presented in this way, but I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into the background that I've grown up in. Gave him a bit of a spiel about my environment and stuff, and I was like, I know how to work with young black men. I hadn't had any experience. I was like, give me the opportunity, and I promise you, like, because amongst my friends, we've all had really interesting, varied experiences. I was like, give us the chance. And then, about a week later, we got the call that we got the funding. So what that initially led to me feeling, I had severe imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my! So all of a sudden we were there. I was made a youth theatre director. Hadn't directed a single thing, and I was like, why me? Why did they pick me? There's so many people who can do this. I've never done this before. But actually, I learnt with time to rise to the occasion. Like, I do believe in like destiny, and I do believe in things happening for a reason, whether good or bad. I feel like there's always, people don't have to. People are not often selected at random. So in these circumstances, so I was like, man, I really need to step into this. So I just learned. I watched theatre. I was asking for free tickets to watch shows in our theatre. I was watching so many shows until I was able to understand how lighting works, how staging works, and then I was also working with the youth theatre each week. So when I was an intern, I was like gauging how to work with young actors and stuff. And so, it was through trial and error. So my first show, it was not my best work, but it was really good to keep coming back stronger. It's a bit like going to the gym for the first time. You've got these ridiculous aches, and you're like, I don't want to come back. And then you go again, and then you get, and then your muscles get used to it and stuff like that. So, so when I started, I would say very low on confidence. if I'm really honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my life changed overnight, and I really felt out of my depth. But
Yeah.
the thing for me, in like looking back now, I thrive under pressure.
Mm.
Um, it's like this weird complex. It kind of gets me excited when I don't know
Mm.
what I'm doing.
Mm.
Like it's a challenge. I like to
Yeah.
challenge myself.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah.
Wow. Did you ever get to a point where you needed to, like, in that journey, did you need to prove something to yourself? Or is it proving
Oh
something to someone else? Was it like, yeah.
yeah. Oh man, I'm my own worst enemy. You know.
Mm.
And so you get to a point where you're relying on people saying good things,
Mm.
and then you have to realize that that's not always going to come. You know what I mean? You might
Yeah.
have a show and people are like, "Well done," and that's it. You're like, "You didn't like it,"
Yeah, word.
and like just like my thing is for me, I just need to
Mm.
feel self gratification that I've done my best,
Mm.
because theatre is extremely subjective. We could
Mm.
all watch a show. I could come up being yo, it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. You three or two of you could be like, it wasn't really for me. It is just, but the aim
Mm.
is for me is to make a story as imaginative or as clear as I can in my brain,
Mm.
and whether you take to it, great. If you don't, it's also okay,
Mm.
I feel like
Yeah.
you've got
So
quite a
mm.
wide like breadth of knowledge already of kind of how things work. So, what would be your advice to someone that's trying to start out in the industry, or maybe is like taking the first few steps, but they don't really know what they're doing next?
Yep. So my advice, first bit of advice, which has come with time, is to um, ask your favorite directors for a coffee. You'll be very, very surprised. You may not be able to meet them next week, but at some point the window might open. And some people don't. Some directors may not be into that, but you'll be surprised. I've been surprised at some of the directors I've come to have a chat with after seeing their work, and like sending an email and asking to meet up. People do want to share advice and spread knowledge. Another thing is, which I'm still learning, is to be brave. Like if you go to a show and you happen to see someone who you admire, go up to them and tell them.
Mm.
I used to have this thing of like, I don't want to fanboy anyone, and I'm still there. It can feel a bit embarrassing, sort of
Yeah.
thing. But actually, friends that I've now made have been from me being like, yeah, I've like literally been following your work for the last 5 years, and like what you wrote was really inspiring. And
Mm.
and from there you can build relationships, but also I think that's just good to just let that be known, because actually you'll find yourself in the same venues doing your own work, and you say, oh yeah, yeah, and they'll be like, yeah, I see you. Like people will remember you,
Mm.
because we everyone wants people. We all want each other in most cases to win, right?
Mm.
So just having that boldness, and also making your own work, that is the key
Mm.
for me anyway. Whether you're a director and you know a writer and you want to experiment something, like there is no harm in trying to fundraise, rent out a space for an hour, call in a few friends as an audience, and just having a go. Or having a rehearsed reading in a, like, calling your mates and doing it in your living room, like just trying your own stuff, because I think sometimes we can expect things to come our way,
Mm.
but actually we have to sometimes make the work,
Mm.
which is fine if that's natural to you. If it's not, I would advise getting in contact with people and stuff like that. But there's, if you when you're networking and meeting these creative brains, like, test it.
Mm.
I would say to anyone starting off, like, the first sort of theater I got involved in was a show that me and my friend co-wrote together, and then we
Mm.
invited like all of the actors, few of our teachers, and we like rented out a space, in like a really rustic space, and we performed in a play that we wrote. But that was the first time ever testing anything, and
Mm.
that then drew the attention. Little did we know there were associates from the rep who came to that show. So then by the time I graduated, people knew the work that we had produced before. So you just never know. So yeah, getting in contact with your heroes, people you admire. If you see them being, brave, bold enough to try and approach them, you know, I'm still working on it, so I'm not perfect. And also creating your own work is always a great place to start.
Key.
So,
Lovely.
Wavy.
And so, what was the final song? I can't remember what it was now.
It was
the final song that is picked by us, the presenters, to give onto our wonderful guest
Ooh,
was Hebru featuring, I can't remember who it's featuring, but it's
Keisha
by
Plum.
Westside Gunn.
yeah.
Who? Keisha who?
Keisha Plum.
No,
That's the one.
that's it.
okay. So
Yeah.
I was feeling really smug because I didn't know how to ask you back. So individually, what that song means to you guys, yeah?
Nah, she's
No,
just
no,
something.
no. So it's
Just
just a
like
song.
You have no pressure on this. You just get
Yeah.
but
Oh, cool.
You don't have to throw me out like I've done consistently. You never know the pressure. The song was alright. It reminds me a lot. I don't know if it's just because I assume he's from New York from the accent, but it reminds me a lot of
Yeah,
Action
definitely.
Bronson. But the thing that
yeah.
I was really interested in the song is that bit of spoken word towards the end, which I can only assume is Keisha Plum. I feel like I listened to it twice, but I feel like I need to go and listen to it again. But there's little like it's a very odd. It's not formatted in the way that I usually consume spoken word. It's I think her rhythm is very different and jarring in a way, but in that same breath, I find it very interesting. It's intriguing. It's like it was almost like reading a multi-layered story. She's trying to say something, but you grab something in the first. It's like when I watched Whiplash. Whiplash is one of my favorite films. I've watched that film many a time. After the seventh time, I'm still like, wow, I never noticed that when that happens. That for me, that's what I'm getting from her spoken word piece. Is like there's an initial layer, and then I can sense there's other stuff going on within it as well.
Yeah,
What were you guys saying?
agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, even if he wasn't from New York, like the way the bass hits in that song and the drums and everything, that is so predominantly East Coast that like I couldn't think of anything else. But like you're right, there is something really interesting in her spoken word, and I think it is the rhythm of it. Like it's still very New York, but it's spoken word, and I don't think I've ever really taken in that kind of form of spoken word before. Like it just feels very authentic, and I was immediately like placed onto the streets of like Brooklyn. Do you know what I mean? Like woman outside a corner shop talking to someone, and it felt very like in the lilt and in the lingo and stuff. And I was like, oh, there's something here.
Yeah.
And you're right. I will definitely listen to it again to really trying to take in like what she's talking about. But it's cool, man. It's cool. His voice is very interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a voice in hip hop that I would normally listen to and be like, yeah, I can listen to that easily. It's interesting for me.
Like, I think in terms of like voice wise, because loads of people are like that. They don't like Shmino or they don't like Chance the Rapper because of like that nasally tone. You know what I mean? But then you got someone like him where he's talking some serious like that like New York like gang banging like crazy ass stuff, and you're hearing him in that tone, but how he's riding it with the music as well suits. And it's interesting because I done sent this to a friend that hates like Shmino, hates Chance the Rapper because of his voice, yet he loves Westside Gunn, and I'm like, this, yeah, you know what I mean? Like they sound so. They could all jump on the track together. You can't always tell who is who. Like you would have that little moment of like, wait, who? Oh, okay, it's this person. But yeah, when it comes to the spoken word at the end, it makes me think of Amiri Baraka. Because he grew up in New York, and the spoken word that we share today comes from him. It comes from all of the poetry slams and all of that comes from him. So having someone like, if you're familiar with his work, if you're not, go listen to there's one called Howl or Owl. America, I can't remember it. Just type in Amiri Baraka or Leroy Jones, you'll find his work. But like in it, it's jazz. It's jazz in the musicality of his words. There's something ajar of it's just a bit off, but you're catching it. It's very fluid, and that's what this reminded me of too. And I was like, it makes sense that this is New York and this is how New York talk. Like, you guys are innovators for this in a way. Like the way in which you speak words, it's like a drum pattern. It's like a piano. It's different. Like it's on a different flex. I find out with Westside Gunn too, the way he, like how slow the beat is, fam, and how he's found his pocket. That reminds me of like a piano in a huge track, or a saxophone in a Kazmashi Washington track, or do you know what I mean? Or let's take it even to Pimp a Butterfly. Terrace Martins was the person like producing all of that. So if we're talking about jazz and all of that influence, like the final song, Mortal Man, if you listen to that on Velvet Portraits, because that's where that song came from, and how that all came together, like you can hear that influence even in the way that Kenedrick raps. So it was interesting hearing that in Westside Gunn too, where they just kind of put that together, and then you're hearing that in the spoken word and the whole influence of it. It's incredible. That's what I think. What do you think, Phillip?
Yeah, I really I do love East Coast rap, and I appreciate it, because I think there's East Coast just has a very grimy, dingy, dark, like you know where you are. It's like you were saying, Kai. You know exactly where you are. You're on the corner of the Bronx, Brooklyn, like you're on the subway, and like so I appreciated it instrumentally. He sounded to me, and it makes sense. He sounded to me just like Ghostface Killer, but obviously Action Bronson sounded exactly like Ghostface Killer. So I couldn't take my mind away from like, the fact like he sounds, that is like the typical blueprint, like Ghostface, voice. And yeah, talking about like really dark stuff. But for me, the track didn't take me anywhere until the spoken word came in.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we've all mentioned the spoken word, because we're clearly a bit more interested in that particular artist than than himself. And I really enjoy, like, in terms of East Coast, I really like the boom bap sound. Like, so it was a bit slow for me to really get into. I feel like I'd listen to it when it's raining or something. Like it doesn't feel like because there's not an actual like quick pace to it. I don't really know what mood I'd need to be in to listen to that. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a positive one.
No.
But I appreciated the spoken word artist. Like I'm actually intrigued to know who that is, because the form that she takes in this track is extremely interesting. It's like breaking the rules completely.
I've not heard anything like it before. I don't know if it's just a New York thing or what, but it's so outside the realm of what I understand how spoken word is normally formulated. I think that might be why. I think the spoken word for me definitely outshines the rest of the song, whether that be his part or the production. Like that moment is like, oh, okay, this is the thing. Like, I listen to that on its ones and be like, interesting one. You don't like it when the feature outshines the main person.
Yep. And arguably Drake.
Yeah. That's true.
Couple of features that man's been featured on, and you're like, oh, this is Drake's song now. Like no stylist.
Ooh, that's
It's kind of people that happens. Though. I'm trying to relate it back to theatre, and it's like, imagine this is director outshining the director. Like that's a situation. You got a situation.
Well, but you do see it in theatre though, where there are times where like there's a lead and then there's a supporting actor or actress.
But that's different though. That's everyone on their team. You know what I mean? Like they've got their job to do, and some people are just better at their job. But when there's two people doing the same thing,
I get you.
Alright. That's it. Thank you very much, Phillip.
This was wicked. This was really sick.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Have you got anything you want to plug just before we sign up?
Keep an eye on Roll Call activity. There's loads of things being planned behind the scenes. I'm sure once everything becomes a bit clearer nationally or throughout the world, you'll be kept posted on some really, really exciting conversations that are being had. And I can't wait to see everyone again. I can't wait. I'd love to have dinner with you guys and just sit down and talk about life, So thank you for having me. Phillip John Morris on Twitter. Follow me there. Little plug. But Hopefully soon, right? Hopefully soon. But
Love.
stay safe, you know. Stay indoors.
We'll see you later.
I can't change my energy, can't fake it. When I'm with you, I feel I can fly. And if this goes and we fall into a stasis, not rugby, you won't tackle my pride. Fat pride, wow, pride, wow, pride, wow. Let's go.